Hello, today what I'm actually going to do is go through all of my work that I've done throughout the year. So basically this is the first 2 months of work because we're getting nearish to the end of October now. So this is basically September and October's work. So what we're actually looking at here is, this was actually done back in June, I believe. This was actually... once we'd finished our AS work, we went on to, we knew what we were going to be doing in A2, so we started planning. So we did a lot of research on separate genres, possible genres that maybe we could create our film trailer in. So for example, we have action, sci-fi, horror, social realist and comedy, and we actually assessed each one individually as well, saying whether or not it'd be a good idea and whether it's a plausible idea. For example, sci-fi was never going to be a good idea because it would cost so much money, and I wouldn't have that as a student, in a student's budget. It'd be a terrible idea. So that's what we did at the very start. And then what we did was we did a few minor trailer analyses to see what kind of trailer we could create on a low budget, such as the Blair Witch Project you see here, that was done on an incredibly low budget and created an incredibly successful film. We then moved on to the Photoshop challenge. So, for example, instead of actually, I was going to make a film poster properly, but I felt like I created this Batman one, really. I just wanted to create something interesting and proper, get back into Photoshop. And instead of creating something simple and just flopping a few pictures together, I felt like I wanted to create something my own, something I could be proud of. So I actually went for Batman, this Dark Knight poster, you could say. But actually with Batman Beyond poster. So as you can see, it's quite interesting, and I'm really happy with how it came out. Although it's not relevant to my own trailer, I did feel it was a suitable Photoshop challenge as I put together something I felt quite impressive. So everything I've done throughout the year, even it's just a photo, as you can see, I've given everything a description to make sure it's understanded. And we have the research and planning for the genre research. So this is when I actually chose, after we'd assessed each genre and stuff, I actually did this to decide exactly which genres were plausible. So, example, you can see Paranormal Activity has been mentioned here, and again, Blair Witch Project, low budget horror films really are quite easily done. But I actually, we moved on to research and planning what I will have to do. So this is when we came up with what responsibilities we would have to take up this year and the amount of coursework we will actually have to do. So this was just a quick, I wrote this down just to make sure that I actually, knew what I was undertaking. And then we moved on. After learning about our genre research and what we wanted to create, we actually started the pitch. And the pitch is our very initial design stage. This is when we're just coming up with our very first ideas of what our trailer will become. So, as you can see throughout this, we have research into genre-related films, judging by the way I chose the thriller. We have plot ideas, possible plots, locations. For example, we literally have quite a lot of just slides here just telling us what our actual trailer and work will consist of. So as you can see throughout there, I've just done some short slides. I'm sure Examiner Man, you have looked through those previously. So now what we're actually moving on to is the trailer research plan. So this was a bit of work I did on my own actually. Because I'd seen those three films you saw at the beginning of this slide here. If I just go back to it at the beginning, we have Memento, The Prestige, and The Dark Knight. 3 films I felt were relevant to what I want to create. So, as you can see, all 3 are listed here as I went to actually create these and do an amateur analysis, you could say, without any previous experience of analysing trailers. So we have the Memento one here, just a short thing, just so I understood what went into these kind of trailers for each one. And then that was just done in my own time. So then back in lessons, we took the poll has expired, but here we did actually have my questionnaire poll, which had a set of questions that would just help me understand and go where I wanted to go with my trailer. For more of this research, we then created our written questionnaires. Although I created this questionnaire, I felt I hadn't got enough questions and I felt like I needed some more in-depth details. So I then actually went on to improve the questionnaire, and as you can see here, we have the very much improved questionnaire. We've got some better, it gives more direct answers this time actually, but also at the same time, this just gave me a much better understanding of what I actually wanted in my trailer. So then we actually have the audience interview number 1. This is obviously this is a friend of mine at college, and he's a fan of these kind of films. So I felt I'd ask him. He'd be a perfect idea of what to ask and what kind of things he'd expect in this film of this genre. And I actually took 2 of my friends up into the hills near where we live, and we actually filmed this chase scene. This chase I just did to test my editing skills as an amateur, and we did start running out of time towards the end, so it did get a bit rushed, which was just bad really. I wish we'd had more time, but I feel I'm very happy with how it actually started and how it looked at the beginning. The way the transitions worked, I just felt it was quite smooth and subtle, especially at the beginning when you just see here. I think you can see it slightly deteriorates towards, like, the editing here I felt was really, really effective, but towards the end it slightly slopes off due to our time restraints. But anyway, we'll continue on. Here we have our first bit of social networking feedback. Again, I actually had a friend again look at my work and tell me what he thought personally, because I feel like, because he knows me, he'd be able to give me a more direct. Say if he didn't like something, he wouldn't be afraid to tell me what he didn't like. So he was a vital bit of information. He told me exactly what he liked and what should be kept in there. So quite some thorough social networking feedback. Again, we have questionnaire results. This is from the longer questionnaire I created. So we obviously PowerPointed this into a set of pie charts, which distribute the information greatly, just so it gives a much better understanding of what kind of information I'm working with. So if we move on now, we have the questionnaire analysis, which is when I just picked at and understood the questionnaire and the results I received. I formulated them and spoke about what I liked and what I didn't like about my results. And again, now we're moving on to actually our research and planning. We decided about certificates. I've actually gone for a 12.8 at the minute, but I am actually currently in the decision of maybe swapping it to a 15. There will be a new post about that soon. It's not there yet because I'm still in the mindset of whether to actually change the certificate to a 15. But that is all in the future. This is when we created our first proposal idea. This is my thriller proposal. Then we moved on and created a second proposal idea, which is my horror film proposal. Both genres are possible to do at a low budget, which is vitally important in our trailers, because we're not going to be able to afford special effects or hire actors or big action sequences. So thriller and horror, I thought, were both really good choices. We then had a group meeting, but I'm working on my own actually on this project. This is because I felt the people I would have preferred to work with from last year did not move on to media this year, and instead of trying to collaborate with someone I didn't know and maybe not understanding what the other person liked and disliked and how they worked, I just felt it would be much more simple if I just put in a lot of effort and just went at this myself. So we don't have to debate the vision. I know exactly where my trailer's going, and it won't vary off the path. It'll just in one straight direction. If I put the effort in, I'm sure I can create something incredibly effective. Then we moved on to our IMDb research. We discovered actually when we came to do this that the IMDb tallies and stuff had been greatly reduced. You used to be able to depict them by gender, so we could see what the best thrillers were that men liked, and then what the best thrillers were women liked. So we could have a good section of tallies here, but that has been removed, it seems, from IMDb, or we couldn't find it. So we've just got the best thriller films here, and that's been rated the best by the public, which I feel is very important. And I've picked at them and chose some of my favourites myself to analyse, which then we moved on to our actual audience theories. So this is just quite a bit of it's something quite important for us to understand, is the different theories and how throughout the media we have obviously got there's 5 I believe here. Yes, we've got 5 here, just listed all the different kind of theories so we understood them ourselves when creating our own work. We have the very first trailer analysis, the official trailer analysis I should say, of The Prisoners film. It's a very long and in-depth analysis of this trailer, and it is an incredibly good film, and this is something this is the kind of styled film I really want to go for. Quite dark, not a lot of action, because we don't really need a lot of action, just a riveting story and good actors. This is the kind of trailer I want to go for myself. Well, then we move on to a prop list. This is actually ongoing. This is just something I'm going to keep adding to as we go on. This is something that will obviously become vitally important when actually coming to film the trailer. And then we move on to my second analysis of the Memento trailer. As you can see, another very in-depth analysis of the trailer, which Although I'm going for this style of trailer of Prisoners, I'm going for this style of protagonist or character with a mental disability, which I think is a very intriguing like plot like scenario. Then we have a sound test where I create a small amount of sound, just that what I felt would fit in a kind of trailer like this. We then actually moved on to, we actually went on the 3-day London trip where we actually visited the BBFC, where we learned a lot here. We learned about the height. It was something I feel I took away was the incredible quality of the conglomerate props and costumes, as you can see. And it just kind of put me into perspective of what I'm going to be able to do, because I'm obviously not going to be able to afford to build my own Thunderbird or even buy 3 suits like that just for my film. It would be an absolute fortune for a student budget. So it kind of lowered me down my expectation to what I could create, and keeps me grounded so that I don't think up of ideas that I won't be able to then put onto film. So then we move on. This is actually a treatment where I get a few scenes of what I wanted to create were in my mind. So obviously I've started planning out the scenes and where it was going to occur and how I was going to do it and make sure I wasn't breaking any laws, etc. So a small treatment. And then we made the Prezi information. We put our target audience information onto a Prezi. So as you can see, we've got 5 like bubbles here of information just about who I'm targeting as my audience. We then now we've created our production company names. As you can see here, this is just a range of ideas I was throwing around. I was basing my production company name off of Greek ancient theatre work. So for example, there's mask, we've got props, we've got Epidaurus, I think that's how you pronounce it, is actually one of the biggest theatres in the ancient world. And then we've got one where I had comment on, actually, if you read this, we've got another about social networking feedback. We've got actually a recommendation here of someone in the college. I really like the name of Praxis Productions, which is something I've actually quite liked. The way, as you see, he specifically says alliteration, it just works well. Praxis Productions, and it's like, I felt it was quite unique due to the fact it's got its ancient origins. Often, like I mentioned here, Odeon is in fact, I believe, a Greek word for, I can't remember if it's the Greek word for theatre, but anyway, praxis, I believe, is actually, spelled it wrongly, I'm afraid, but anyway, praxis is actually a name of an individual theatre in ancient Greece. So I think we are actually going to go through Praxis Productions. So this is just as far as I've got so far with my blog, and I hope you like it, I hope you're impressed, and obviously I will continue to create this at my best effort. Thank you. Goodbye.